Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and pretty radical business philosophy of a firm called the Mohgix Institute. They're making a bold claim that they've literally architected a new way to build value.
So that's the big question we're trying to answer here. Are these guys a true signal in a world filled with noise, or are they just adding to it with some very fancy language? We're going to get to the bottom of this by looking at their really unique approach to solving some of the biggest problems a business can face. And right off the bat, you can see they're different. They don't call themselves an ad agency or a consultancy. Nope, they claim to be the world's first cinematic strategy firm. So what does that even mean? Well, they're taking the powerful tools of filmmaking, story, emotion, visuals, and applying them to solve huge make-or-break business problems. They're basically creating a category of one.
All right, so to really get what they're selling, you first have to understand the problem they say they've found. It's a problem they believe is silently destroying businesses from the inside out.
At the heart of it all is this idea they've trademarked, the clarity tax. They say it's the hidden cost companies pay for being misunderstood. Think of it this way. Every time you lose a deal, fail to get funding, or have teams pulling in different directions, it's often because your message just isn't clear. And that, they argue, is a tax you're paying.
And where do you pay this tax? You pay it in what they call the strategic void. You know what this is. It's that massive gap between a genius idea cooked up in a boardroom and the generic, forgettable ad that actually makes it out into the world. It's the black hole where the power and clarity of your message just vanishes.
This slide just nails the dilemma they say leaders are trapped in. You've got two choices, right? You can hire a brilliant consulting firm like McKinsey and get a strategy that's intellectually perfect but totally sterile. All head, no heart. Or you hire an amazing design agency like Pentagram and get something beautiful that might not actually have any strategic teeth. All heart, no head. They're asking who connects the two.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, their philosophy is definitely not what you'd expect.
Their whole approach is driven by the founder, who doesn't call himself a CEO, but the architect. And this is where it gets really interesting. His background isn't in advertising or consulting. It's in the world of ultra-exclusive five-star luxury hospitality. He essentially bottled up everything he learned from that world and called it the B luxury mindset. It's a framework built on three Islamic spiritual concepts. First is Niyya, which is all about having a crystal clear intention and purpose. Then there's Ihsan, which is this relentless obsession with excellence, doing things perfectly even when no one's looking. And finally, Shukr, which is a deep sense of gratitude for your audience's attention. For them, these aren't just buzzwords, they're the core operating system.
A unique philosophy is one thing, but how do you actually turn that into a business model? This is where they really break the mold.
They make this super clear distinction between what they do and what everyone else does. On one side, you have the traditional service model. A client says, "Make me a video," the agency makes a video, and everybody crosses their fingers and hopes it works. A total gamble, right? Mohgix says they sell a system. It's an engineered process that doesn't just produce an asset, it produces an outcome. And that outcome is conviction.
The engine driving this whole system is what they call the curated visual process. This is where those principles from earlier, like clear intention and relentless excellence, get turned into a step-by-step process. You wouldn't build a house without a detailed blueprint, right? Same idea here. Everything is planned and locked in, step by step, to make sure the final product is an exact, high-fidelity version of the original strategy. No signal loss.
And this really is the whole point. Their entire system is built to create conviction, not just grab attention. They believe attention is cheap. You can buy clicks all day long, but attention without trust is actually a liability. Conviction, on the other hand, that deep, unwavering belief in what you're doing, that's a real asset you can build a business on.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Let's take a look at the one and only case study they've ever made public.
So let's talk about case study 0. It's about an artisan ice cream shop in Nigeria. Now, they had a weird problem. Their ice cream was so good, and they were so committed to making it perfectly that they sold out all the time. But here's the twist. People started to see this scarcity not as a sign of quality, but as a sign of incompetence. Their success was actually starting to look like failure. And you know how the internet is. A narrative started to spread online that this place was just a gimmick, an Instagram trap. This wasn't just bad PR. It was a narrative that was threatening their entire existence. Now, the normal response would be to, post on Instagram or send out a press release. But Mohgix went in a totally different direction. They called their solution narrative arbitrage. They created a beautiful, high-end documentary about the ice cream shop. This wasn't just a video, it was what they call a costly signal, an investment so significant that it proves you're serious without you even having to say it. The film put the founder and her obsession with quality, that idea of ihsan, or excellence, front and center. And by showing, not just telling everyone the incredible amount of work that went into every single scoop, the film completely flipped the script. Suddenly, selling out wasn't a bug, it was a feature. It was proof of integrity.
So this brings us full circle, right back to our original question. After looking at all of this, is the Mohgix Institute a true signal or just really sophisticated noise?
When you lay it out like this, the difference is night and day. Pretty much the entire marketing world is fighting a bloody battle for attention, for likes, views, and clicks. Mohgix says, nope, we're not even playing that game. They've created their own space where the only thing that matters, the only metric they track, is conviction.
And if you need any more proof of how different they are, get this, they have a strict no reviews policy. I mean, who does that in 2024? They argue that their clients, we're talking C-suite execs, high-level diplomats, value privacy and discretion more than anything. Their proof isn't on Yelp, it's in the quiet referrals that happen in the highest circles. So, when you boil it all down, they're not really in the marketing business at all. They're in the trust business. They've built a system designed to engineer the most valuable and scarcest commodity in our modern world, the benefit of the doubt. They've figured out how to monetize certainty.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If they're right, if this clarity tax is a real thing that's quietly draining value from companies every single day, what is it costing you?